Welcome, the rare gems. Some people only understand your value the moment you stop giving them access to it. When a chosen woman gets hurt, the story does not end with her broken and silent. It actually begins with a version of her that is stronger, sharper, and more awake than she has ever been. This is not the kind of woman who stays down. She is the kind who rises with a new level of clarity. A chosen woman feels deeply, but she does not stay trapped in that pain. She learns from it in a way that changes her entire direction. If you are a Sigma female, this will feel familiar. You do not crumble when someone hurts you. You transform. You use the disappointment as fuel to upgrade your mindset. You pay attention to the lessons instead of the loss. You reclaim your peace instead of chasing someone who never protected it. Your strength may not always be loud, but it is undeniable. And the moment you pull your energy back, everything around you begins to shift. This introduction is not here to make you feel bitter. It is here to remind you of who you are. You walk through life with a quiet power that many people misunderstand until they lose it. When someone hurts you, they think they damaged you. What they actually did was activate the version of you that stops settling and starts seeing everything clearly. In this video, we are about to break down the 11 changes that happen the moment someone hurts a chosen woman. Watch till the end, because every point is a reminder of your strength and your worth. Let's get started. The rare gems. Number 1. Her spirit did not break. It sharpened. When people talk about heartbreak, they often describe it like a collapse, like someone has fallen apart and needs to slowly rebuild. But with a chosen woman, something very different happens. Her spirit does not crack the way others expect. It does not fold in on itself. Instead, it sharpens. And this sharpening is quiet. It is almost invisible at first. But once it begins, nothing can stop it. Pain does not turn her into someone bitter or defeated. It shapes her into someone more precise and more aware. It pulls away the noise, the doubt, the softness that once made her overlook the truth in front of her. In the moment she feels that hurt, something inside her clicks. She becomes colder, not in a cruel way, but in a clear way. Her emotions stop clouding her judgment. Her attention becomes laser-focused on the reality she tried to ignore. He thought the hurt would weaken her. He thought she would beg, cling, or crumble. What he did not understand is that chosen women are built with an inner fire that becomes most visible in dark moments. When someone wounds her, she does not break. She wakes up. The pain acts like a sharpening stone. Her boundaries sharpen. Her awareness sharpens. Her understanding of herself sharpens. Even her silence becomes sharper than any argument she could have given. This refined version of her sees the world without illusions. She becomes more careful with her time, more selective with her heart, and more confident in her direction. She stops explaining her worth. She stops doubting her value. She stops trying to save people who have no interest in growing. And the most powerful part is this: she does not rise with anger. She rises with clarity. She realizes she was never losing him. He was losing her. Pain did not destroy her. It perfected her focus. Number 2. There is a moment in every chosen woman's life when her intuition goes from a quiet inner voice to something loud and impossible to ignore. At first, she tries to brush it off. She tells herself she is overthinking. She tries to give the benefit of the doubt. She tries to be patient. But the moment she gets hurt, something changes instantly. Her intuition that used to whisper like a soft warning suddenly begins to roar. It is not a gentle feeling anymore. It becomes a force, a presence, a spotlight shining directly on the truth she did not want to see. She starts catching things she overlooked before. A strange shift in his tone, a story that does not make sense, the odd timing of his excuses, The way his actions never matched his words, she sees all of it with an uncomfortable level of accuracy. What makes this transformation so powerful is that she no longer argues with herself. She stops second-guessing her instincts. She stops silencing that inner voice that was trying to protect her long before the hurt came. Instead, she listens, she studies, she pays attention, and once she does, she can see straight through every hidden motive behind his behavior. She becomes the kind of woman you cannot lie to, not because she is suspicious, but because she is awake. Her clarity becomes a shield. Her awareness becomes armor. She can spot manipulation before it even reaches her. She can sense insincerity the moment it approaches. Nothing gets past her now, and the truth is this. When a chosen woman reaches this stage, it is almost impossible to fool her again. Her intuition has graduated from a quiet warning to a full alarm system. She reads people without them speaking. She notices patterns he thought he hid well. She understands motives he never admitted. He might think she is reacting emotionally, but what he does not know is that she is seeing everything clearly. Her intuition does not whisper anymore. It roars. And once it roars, she cannot return to the old version of herself who ignored the signs. She is wide awake now, and that awareness is her new power. Number 3. Her patience for nonsense dropped to 0. There comes a point in a chosen woman's journey where something inside her simply snaps into place. Not in anger, not in bitterness, in clarity. After being hurt, she reaches a moment where her patience for nonsense drops straight to 0. It is almost shocking how fast it happens. One day she is trying to understand someone's behavior, and the next day she is done entertaining anything that wastes her time or insults her intelligence. She stops tolerating mixed signals because she finally understands that confusion is a choice people make when they do not want to be clear. She stops accepting excuses because she can now see that effort is never complicated when someone truly values you. She stops giving endless chances because she realizes that chances are the currency of someone who still believes in potential that no longer exists. It is like her entire energy shifts. She starts observing people differently. She studies what they do rather than what they say. She stops giving credit for intentions and starts judging actions. If someone comes with half effort, she no longer tries to fill the other half. She lets the space remain empty, and in that emptiness she sees the truth she once ignored. This new version of her is not rude. She is not cold. She is simply done negotiating with people who are not even negotiating with themselves. She no longer entertains inconsistency. She no longer waits for someone to catch up emotionally. She no longer bends herself into someone she is not just to keep a connection alive. Her time becomes sacred. Her energy becomes expensive. Her presence becomes something a person has to earn, not something handed out freely. And the most remarkable part is that she does all this without anger. She is not seeking revenge. She is not trying to prove a point. She is simply choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over false promises. When her patience reaches 0, her standards rise to 100. She becomes the kind of woman you cannot play with anymore. She is awake, aware, and completely uninterested in anything that does not match her worth. Number 4. She began trusting her instincts more than her emotions. There is a shift that happens inside a chosen woman after she has been hurt. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is a quiet switch that changes everything about the way she moves through the world. She begins trusting her instincts more than her emotions. And this shift is powerful, because her emotions once guided her, but now her instincts are in full control. Her heart has always been strong. She feels deeply. She loves with intention. She gives with purity. But after the hurt, she understands something important. Emotions can be influenced, They can be triggered. They can be manipulated by people who know how to play on vulnerability. Instincts cannot. Instincts are pure. Instincts do not lie. Instincts reveal what the heart tries to romanticize. She stops reacting based on how she wishes someone would behave and starts responding based on who they actually are. She pays attention to the tone behind the words. She notices the consistency in the actions. She sees the hidden meaning in silence that others might ignore. Her instincts become her compass. They guide her away from what feels familiar but unhealthy and pull her toward what feels real. The beauty of this transformation is that she does not become cold. She becomes wise. She does not stop feeling. She simply stops allowing her feelings to drown out her clarity. When someone approaches her with sweet words but empty actions, her emotions may feel flattered, but her instincts say, walk away. When someone returns from the past acting like they have changed, her memories may stir, but her instincts keep her steady. When someone tries to guilt-trip her into staying, her heart may feel heavy, but her instincts remind her that guilt is not love. This new version of her is powerful because she sees life as it is, not as she hopes it to be. And the moment her instincts take the lead, she becomes almost impossible to fool again. She trusts herself more. She doubts herself less. She moves with a confidence that comes from true understanding, and once she steps into that level of discernment, she never goes back to the version of herself that ignored the signs. Number 5. She connected deeper with something bigger than herself. There is a moment after the pain settles when a chosen woman realizes she is not standing alone in her healing. Something bigger than her steps in. Something she cannot fully explain, but she can feel. She connects deeper with it in a way she never did before. Call it faith or intuition or inner knowing. Whatever name you give it, this force becomes the anchor that carries her through the dark. At first, she thinks she's surviving on her own strength. She thinks she is pushing through with her willpower. But then she notices something strange. On the days when she feels completely drained, she still finds the strength to get out of bed. On the nights when her thoughts feel heavy, something inside her brings comfort without a word being spoken. When she feels lost, she starts receiving small signs that guide her back to herself. It could be a sudden realization. It could be a quiet moment of clarity. It could be an instinct that says, do not go back. Do not repeat this cycle. Keep moving forward. This deeper connection becomes her light. It gives her a kind of calm that does not make sense on the surface. While others would break under the weight of the betrayal, she develops an unshakable energy. She becomes more grounded, more aware, more spiritually awake. She starts believing that everything happens for a reason, even the painful moments. She understands that the hurt was not a punishment. It was a push toward a version of herself she was always meant to become. This inner connection also changes how she views people. She no longer chases validation because she feels supported by something greater than external approval. She no longer begs for love because she finally recognizes her own worth. She no longer fears losing someone because she trusts that whatever is meant for her will not require her to suffer endlessly. This deep spiritual grounding becomes her quiet superpower. It helps her rise without bitterness. It helps her heal without pretending. It helps her find meaning in moments that once felt empty. And once she taps into that level of connection, darkness cannot shake her the way it used to. She becomes guided, protected, and aligned in ways she never imagined before. Number 6. She became brutally honest with herself. There is a turning point in every chosen woman's healing where she stops running from her own truth. She becomes brutally honest with herself, not in a harsh way, not in a self-attacking way. She simply stops hiding from what she already knows deep down. And this honesty becomes the very thing that heals her faster than any comforting lie ever could. Before the pain, she may have softened realities to protect her feelings. She may have justified his behavior because she cared. She may have told herself to be patient, to wait, to hope. But after the hurt, her soul refuses to play along. She looks at everything exactly as it is, not as she wishes it to be. She admits where she ignored the signs. She admits where she stayed longer than she should have. She admits where she gave more than she received. And in that honesty, she finds strength instead of shame. This kind of truth-telling feels uncomfortable at first. It forces her to sit with emotions she avoided. It reminds her of the parts of the relationship she romanticized. But as she keeps facing the truth, something incredible happens. She starts to breathe again. Realness gives her clarity. Realness gives her direction. Realness pulls her out of denial and places her on solid ground. She becomes honest about what she wants, about what she needs, and about what she can no longer accept. She stops pretending that potential is enough. She stops acting like crumbs can feed her soul. She stops believing that love is proven through suffering. Her honesty becomes a mirror that reflects not only his actions but her own growth. And here is the magic. Once she embraces this level of truth, the healing process speeds up in ways that surprise her. She stops replaying conversations in her mind. She stops craving closure from the wrong person. She stops wondering what she could have done differently. She knows she showed up with sincerity. She knows she loved with a full heart. And she knows she deserves better from herself and from anyone who steps into her life. Realness becomes her medicine. It clears the fog. It breaks the emotional spell. And it turns her into a woman who will never again trade truth for temporary comfort. Number 7. He felt her absence differently. When a chosen woman walks away, the silence she leaves behind hits differently. It is not the usual feeling a man gets when a relationship ends. It is not the simple loss of a girlfriend or a companion. What he feels is the loss of a certain meaning he did not even realize she brought into his life until it vanished without warning. At first, he thinks he is fine. He convinces himself he can move on easily. He leans on distractions, conversations, or anything that keeps him from sitting alone with his thoughts. But slowly, reality sinks in. He notices the difference in small moments, the lack of depth in the new people he meets, the emptiness in conversations that used to feel exciting, the quiet in his home that no longer feels peaceful but hollow. He starts to realize that she was not just someone who filled space. She was someone who added substance to it. Her presence carried a certain calm that made him feel balanced, even when he did not deserve it. She understood him in ways he never had the courage to admit. She saw things in him that he refused to face. She encouraged him without making him feel small. And she offered a kind of emotional stability he thought he could always return to. Losing that is not simple. It feels like losing a sense of direction. He begins to feel her absence not just emotionally, but mentally and spiritually. His days are not as focused. His motivation drops without her quiet support in the background. He remembers how her advice always landed with accuracy, how her intuition called out things he never said, how her energy made him feel grounded when everything else felt chaotic. And the truth hits him the hardest when he realizes he did not just lose a woman. He lost a mirror that reflected the better version of himself. He lost the one person who made him feel understood without asking for anything unrealistic in return. Her absence becomes a lesson he cannot escape, not a punishment, a reminder. A reminder that he had something rare, something meaningful, and he only recognized its value when it slipped out of his hands. Number 8. Her emotional intelligence upgraded overnight. There is something remarkable that happens to a chosen woman after she has been hurt. It is almost like her emotional system updates itself without warning. Her emotional intelligence upgrades overnight. She does not need months of recovery or endless advice from others. Her mind and spirit quietly rise to a level she never operated from before. And once she reaches that level, she is not the same woman anymore. She becomes more aware of her patterns. She notices the situations she used to fall for. She notices the type of people she used to give too many chances to. She notices the parts of herself that wanted to believe in potential instead of accepting reality. And instead of repeating those behaviors, she stops them right at the door. She catches herself, sometimes in the middle of a thought, sometimes in the middle of a conversation, sometimes in the beginning of a connection that feels a little too familiar. Her mind becomes sharper than her emotions. She can still love deeply, but she now loves with awareness. She does not rush. She does not assume. She does not explain away red flags. She reads energy before she reads words. She studies patterns before she trusts promises. And she listens to her instincts with a seriousness she never used before. The upgrade also shows in how she responds. She no longer responds to manipulation with confusion. She responds with distance. She no longer responds to mixed signals with anxiety. She responds with silence. She no longer responds to charm with naive hope. She responds with observation. Every decision she makes now comes from a place of wisdom instead of old wounds. This new awareness protects her in ways she wished she had known earlier. It stops her from attaching too quickly. It prevents her from giving too much to someone who has not earned it. It keeps her from choosing the same story packaged in a different body. Most importantly, she becomes fully responsible for her emotional world. She refuses to let anyone drag her into cycles she has already healed from. She knows better now. And because she knows better, she does better. Every single time. Number 9. She stopped apologizing for feeling deeply. There comes a point when a chosen woman realizes she no longer owes anyone an apology for being exactly who she is. She stops apologizing for feeling deeply, for loving fully, for caring intensely, for showing up with her whole heart. And it is in this moment that she finally understands the truth about the way he hurt her. The problem was never her depth. The problem was his inability to meet it. He wanted her to shrink. He wanted her to numb herself. He wanted her to match a level of emotion he could not handle. But she learned quickly that she was not meant to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Her capacity to feel, to empathize, and to connect was a strength, not a flaw. She realized that her emotional intensity was never the issue. His lack of depth, his unwillingness to meet her where she was, and his inability to honor her truth were the reasons things fell apart. From that point on, she stopped bending herself to fit someone else's limitations. She stopped dimming her light to make him feel safe. She stopped editing her feelings to make them more acceptable or easier to manage. She understood that her emotional richness was rare, precious, and entirely hers. This awakening changed the way she moved through the world. She became unapologetically authentic. She became selective about who she shared her heart with. She became aware that anyone who could not appreciate her depth was not someone worth the energy of her presence. And the most powerful part of this shift was how freeing it felt. She no longer carried the weight of explaining herself or justifying her heart. She stopped shrinking to make room for others who could not hold her. Her feelings were no longer a problem. They were her power. And anyone who could not honor that would no longer have a place in her life. She learned that depth is never a burden. It is a gift. And the moment she embraced that truth, she stepped fully into her own power. Number 10. Life started returning her energy in strange but beautiful ways. After the pain settled, something extraordinary happened to a chosen woman. Life started returning her energy in ways she could not have predicted. It was subtle at first, almost like little ripples, but soon it became undeniable. Doors she did not even know existed opened. People she had never expected to meet appeared at the right time. Opportunities she had only dreamed about came her way. It was as if the universe itself was acknowledging her strength and rewarding her clarity. She had spent so long pouring herself into people and situations that did not appreciate her. She had given her time, her love, and her energy to things that drained her instead of elevating her. But once she pulled back and reclaimed herself, something shifted. The energy she had invested in healing and self-discovery started to circulate back to her in new, unexpected ways. She found herself in the right place at the right time, without even trying. People responded to her differently because she no longer carried the weight of compromise or the need for approval. This return of energy was more than just external signs. It was internal too. She felt lighter, more confident, and more aligned with who she truly was. Her focus became sharper. Her intuition became even clearer. She moved through life with a sense of ease and purpose that others could sense. It was like she had leveled up, and the universe noticed. The most fascinating part was how effortless it all felt. It was not forced. It was not calculated. It was simply life rewarding her for stepping fully into her own power, for embracing her truth, and for refusing to settle for anything less than what she deserved. And the lesson was undeniable. When a chosen woman stops giving her energy to what does not serve her and starts investing it in herself, life responds. Opportunities multiply, clarity becomes a magnet, and the world begins to mirror the strength, focus, and beauty she carries within. Number 11. Her self-respect rose like a sudden tide. There comes a moment when a chosen woman stops negotiating with people who do not see her worth. It hits suddenly, almost like a tide rushing in, sweeping away all doubt and uncertainty. Her self-respect rises like a sudden tide. She suddenly remembers exactly who she is, what she deserves, and the standard she will no longer compromise. The world around her shifts because she has shifted first. Even she is surprised by how fast she reclaims her power. For so long she may have tolerated behavior that diminished her. She may have excused actions that disrespected her boundaries. She may have questioned herself when others failed to honor her worth. But once hurt reveals the truth about people and her place in their lives, she stops shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort zone. She stops bending herself to match someone else's expectations. She stops apologizing for being fully herself. In that instant, she becomes unshakable. Her self-respect does not quietly build. It rises dramatically because it is fueled by clarity and experience. She sees the patterns she once ignored. She notices the people who drained her energy without giving anything back. She recognizes the value of her presence and her time, and she refuses to give it to anyone who cannot appreciate it. This surge of self-respect changes everything. Her posture changes, her energy changes, her voice changes. People notice the difference, and those who once took her lightly begin to realize she is no longer available for mistreatment. The power she reclaimed is visible in every decision she makes, in every boundary she enforces, and in every interaction she chooses to engage in. Even she marvels at how quickly it happened. One moment she was doubting herself. The next moment she is the version of herself who no longer negotiates for scraps, no longer tolerates half-effort, and no longer allows anyone to underestimate her. She is fully present in her power, and it is undeniable. In conclusion, the strongest hearts are not the ones that never break, but the ones that break and rise sharper, wiser, and unshakable. When a chosen woman gets hurt, it is not the end of her story. It is the moment her true strength begins to show. Every challenge, every betrayal, every moment of disappointment becomes a lesson she does not ignore. She learns faster than most, sees deeper than most, and grows stronger than most. The pain teaches her who she is, what she deserves, and the kind of energy she will no longer allow near her. She becomes more in tune with herself, more aware of people's true intentions, and more confident in her decisions. She trusts her instincts, sets boundaries without guilt, and honors her own worth above all else. She does not waste time on nonsense, nor does she linger in what cannot be healed. Instead, she channels her energy into growth, clarity, and opportunities that align with her value. If you are watching this, remember this. Being hurt does not make you weak. It makes you rare. It makes you someone who can rise from betrayal and disappointment with clarity that few people ever reach. You see patterns, discern motives, and reclaim your power faster than anyone expects. You are capable of loving fully, thinking clearly, and moving forward in ways that surprise even yourself. The world may not understand the transformation that occurs after betrayal, but that is the point. You are chosen not for being easy, but for being capable of turning pain into wisdom, hurt into strength, and loss into clarity. Carry that with pride, because what was taken from you only prepared you to become the woman you were always meant to be.